So you might have noticed that my golden shrimp balls don't look the same as the in-game picture. Hell, they don't even have the tails. Kinda ones among you might say, don't beat yourself up too hard. These don't look that bad. Yeah, then let me tell you, this was supposed to look like this. Yeah, I kind of effed up every step on the way. Now wait a minute, these don't look anything like the in-game picture either. You see, 金丝虾球 or golden thread shrimp balls, the real-life dish golden shrimp balls is based on, is a Chinese dish quite often served in banquet multi-course meals as an appetizer. Hey look, Genshin. But if your objective is to replicate the in-game picture, you can follow Issagrill's recipe with over 6,000 views, which minus the garlic powder really closely resembles the dim sum classic shrimp balls. The real-life version of the golden shrimp balls is more easily searchable with the name 土豆丝炸虾卷, meaning fried shrimps wrapped in potato. The banquet version makes it sound more expensive by attaching golden in front. It also requires knife skills to cut the potato into thin shreds, which is the main reason for my failure. You can see that compared to an actual chef's, mine aren't equally sized, which made the individual strands fry in varying times. Also, the golden version added one key ingredient, mayonnaise. More specifically, Japanese mayonnaise from Kewpie. Just so you know I'm not bullshitting you, here's a few more Chinese channels using mayonnaise. The Japanese is important because it is different from Western mayo. Color alone tells you that the Japanese version is yellowish instead of white. The key difference is that it's made with rice vinegar instead of distilled vinegar, and also made with egg yolks instead of whole eggs. Taste-wise, it's richer and slightly tangy. Still, mayonnaise isn't considered a Chinese kitchen ingredient, nor is it really an expensive one. So finding it used in expensive food is pretty curious to me. Turns out, the existence of mayonnaise in Chinese food can be blamed on a company with a creepy baby mascot called Kewpie. Around 1993, Kewpie wanted to follow the footsteps of KFC and McDonald's to dominate the Chinese diet. The plan? To follow the blueprint that made Japanese appreciate mayonnaise, accompanying it with vegetables for salads or with canned food. In Chinese, the name of mayonnaise is known as 沙拉酱, which translates to salad sauce. But mayonnaise is a pretty weird substance to the Chinese, and they didn't have the habit of eating salads. During the next 6 years, mayonnaise had a pretty lukewarm reaction. That is, until some Kewpie employee discovered that there were many fruit stalls around, and people tended to pair fruits with sweet things. It's not quite clear what they saw, except that it's something slightly sour. They decided that adding sugar into Chinese Kewpie mayonnaise and using it for fruits is the right thing to do. As the Chinese economy developed, they started introducing mayonnaise to chain restaurants, who decided to give it a try. And as people had more income to eat out, seeking different tastes, that they started to get used to the taste of mayonnaise. Mayonnaise later grew popular enough that today, according to Nikkei Asia, Kewpie has 90% of the condiment market share in Beijing, 70% in Guangzhou, and 55% in Shanghai. Well, I don't think mayonnaise is popular in other regions in China, but that's the context for how mayonnaise found its way into Chinese food, and thus, 金丝虾球. But I mean, other than the name and presentation, is this really Chinese food? It's basically shrimps covered in French fries, served with a French or Spanish condiment, adapted to the taste of America, adapted to the taste of Japanese, which is then adapted to the taste of the Chinese. Whatever it is, let's get to cooking. Because Chinese Kewpie mayo is sweeter, I'm going to blend a mango and mix it into the mayonnaise to make a sweeter mixture. Then, when slicing the potatoes, you really want this to be as thin as possible and have the same thickness, but as you can see, my knife skills aren't as good as a restaurant chef, and these small variances in thickness makes all the difference. You can of course use a mandolin like a logical normal person, but using a knife is cooler. I put the potatoes in water to prevent them from browning. For some of the potatoes, I also tried to cut out a noodle shape by carving them. Again, the thickness of the strings are just no good. Meanwhile, even more mistakes piled up as I shut off my brain. I peeled the tail right off while autopiloting, completely forgetting that I need them for decoration. So, for what it's worth, to peel a shrimp or prawn, grab the head and peel it off. Then lightly pinch the tail at the end and it should come off pretty cleanly. The last piece in the middle is pretty easy to peel. Then we want to slice the back of the prawn to take off the intestine. Remember not to throw the shells away, as you can use those to make soup or bisque. Give the prawns a little bit of salt and a splash of rice wine to remove some of the odour that the Chinese call xingwei. Give it a mix. Try to act cool by cracking an egg with one hand and clean the eggshells in shame. Then add flour and a splash of water so that the volume of flour to egg and water is about a ratio of 1:1. It should be about this viscous. Here you can see me struggling to wrap the potato around the shrimp as they break off. You're supposed to boil them in water first to soften them. Dry the potatoes and heat up some oil for deep frying. These should fry up in 30 seconds, so I send one string in to test. Seems hot enough. Potato shreds in by batches. The uneven thickness meant that the potato browned unevenly. This doesn't look terrible, but I remind you that this is what this is supposed to look like. 2.10. Dip the prawns in the batter and into the oil. It is done when it is golden brown. For the vegetables, I simply cut a pointy shape in some leafy greens. Then roll the excess up and slice it like this. I also sliced some cabbage for extra height. Give the vegetables a blanch for about 30 seconds and we're ready to serve. Put a fake fondant flour in the middle with a dollop of mayo. Then dip the fried prawns in a mango mayo mixture and roll it up in the fried potatoes. And now we have suspicious golden shrimp balls. Phew, that's a good day of work done making the video. Time to play some Genshin Impact.
無駄な時間を過ごしてると仕事が終わらないわよ。休むことも大事だけど気を抜きすぎてはダメよ。昨日終わるはずだった仕事をどうしてあの人たちは今日まで引き延ばしたのかしら。
For those who want other proper recipes, links will be in the description. If you enjoyed the video, give it the
冒険だ冒険!
Also, a shout out to Mark and an anonymous donator to my Ko-fi page. Making these videos take a lot of resources, and I really appreciate a coin, especially when this channel isn't monetized yet.